This war of mine requires building a lot of workbenches, defences and items. Wouldn't it be great if all of those building recipes required fewer materials? Well, that's where Marin comes in. Welcome back to a survivor's guide to this war of mine. Today we will be looking at Marin's mechanics and his story. As I've already alluded to, Marin is a carpenter and therefore he can construct most things in the game with fewer materials. Specifically, this covers shelters improvements, workbenches and anything that can be built at the metal workshop. This is incredibly useful as it drops the required materials by about 20%. His other stats are about average, with a 10 carrying capacity, combat rating of D and guard rating of C, and an addiction to coffee. He's also a survivalist, meaning he will do what it takes to survive. Now that we have gone through the mechanics, here is Marin's story. We'll start with the happy story, then go on to the sad story, and then go to his possible endings. Marin's happy story. Number 1. People treasure their possessions now. In the past, they just tossed out anything that broke. I had a hard time living off my workshop. People were dropping by once or twice a day, mostly like that old lady that has been using the same iron since she was a young bride, and the world was brighter. But there were exceptions. Number 2. One day, a little boy brought his action figure with a broken arm. You can't glue that kind of plastic. Oh my, I said, this is serious. And his eyes welled up, and I have no heart to turn him down. So I just told him to return the next day. I fixed it, trade secret, and when he saw it, his smile lit up the whole room. I don't know what became of him. I found the same toy in the street again after all had gone to hell. Number 3. I was asked to make a set of burglary tools. I refused. The money was good, but I wanted none of it. I wish I knew these customers wouldn't take no for an answer though. They came for me when I was upstairs with my wife, fast asleep. I figured they couldn't force the shop door open, so they just tossed a Molotov cocktail through the window. Our bedroom window. Number 4. I don't even know how I escaped. My wife didn't. All I cared about was burnt to the ground. Every now and then, I think about that boy. Where is he now? What is he doing? Is he even still alive? If he is, I'm going to find him one day. I'm sure he misses his toy. Marin's sad story. Number 1. People value their things now, and they used to dump all that broke into the trash. I ran a repair business, but I couldn't make a good living with just a couple customers a day. Mostly old women who would use the same meat grinder all their lives if only they could. Not that I complain. Wouldn't see much business otherwise. Number 2. One day, a kid brought in an action figure with a broken arm. They make them from plastic that can't be glued, and with no spare parts, all on purpose to sell more toys. But I fixed it anyway, and gave it back to the boy. Oh, how happy he was. Later, after everything went to hell, I found his toy in the street, and I knew he wouldn't part with it for his life. Number 3. I was asked to make a set of burglary tools. I refused. The money was good, but I wanted none of it. I should have just taken the job. When the thugs came for me, I was taken upstairs, fast asleep, and the shop door was locked. I know my doors and locks, so they just tossed a Molotov through the bedroom window. Number 4. The flames were everywhere. I grabbed the sheets and tried to, smother the fire. But her hair, everything was burning. Everything was burned down. I escaped. I don't know how. I wish I had taken that job. Marin has been through a lot, and your game will decide his future with the following possibilities. If Marin dies during the war. These hardened hands will never again make anything right, neither for Marin nor for anyone else. The tragic story of this man came to an end. Maybe he finally found peace. If Marin kills himself. Having lost everything, overcome by grief and remorse, Marin committed suicide. He was buried in a shallow grave like so many other victims of war. If Marin leaves the shelter one night. One night, Marin left the shelter, taking the action figure he had mentioned with him. He disappeared without a trace. If you reject Marin when he comes to the door. Marin had to seek luck elsewhere, however useful he might have turned out to be. Now if Marin makes it to the end of the war, but has done some bad things that have wrecked his karma. Marin survived, but was scarred for life, and not just physically, he opened a small repair business in a rented basement, sleeping under the workbench. Soon he was booted out for lagging with his rent, as he kept spending all income on booze. He died in a hospice of liver failure. If Marin makes it to the end of the war, but with the sad ending. Marin cheated death again and saw the end of fighting. Although he remained plagued by the survivor's guilt, he set about rebuilding his life, and soon he was running a small repair business again. He kept the action figure on his workbench, but never found the courage to look for its previous owner. And if Marin makes it to the end of the war, in good spirits and with good karma. Surviving the war, Marin set about finding the boy who once brightened his day. His efforts proved futile, so he rebuilt his house and kept the action figure in the shop window. And one winter afternoon, the entrance bell rang, and the familiar smile had once again filled Marin's workshop, and his life with light. And so that is Marin's story. I hope you found this video interesting, and if you did, please do like, subscribe, and consider donating to War Child. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Ta-ra.